Hello and welcome to a late night latte here on Latte Firm. It's Friday. It's 10 p.m. in the UK and it's the end of a marvelous week. And it's the beginning of what's going to be peak Barclays, I think. Welcome, ladies and gents, boys and girls. Grab a seat, grab a brew. We're going to talk about a lot tonight. We're going to talk about Mikel Arteta, Manager of the Month award that he's picked up. Some amazing stats behind that. We'll talk about that. Of course, it's Brentford who come to the Emirates tomorrow. We have a chance to go top of the league before the big game on Sunday at Anfield. Liverpool taking on Manchester City. We will look ahead to the Brentford game, talk about predictions and lineups and all that sort of stuff. We'll talk about defensive resilience. William Saliba and Gabriel are forming a formidable partnership. But are they the best in the Premier League? Could they be the best in Europe? I want to get your thoughts on that. And of course, we'll do the snack check. So welcome to everybody. Just very quickly before we bring in our panelists, first up in the house tonight was Tamina Ahmed, who says, "Hi, Latte FM. How you doing? I'm good. I'm good, Tamina. I'm glad this week is over. I've been tweeting that I've been working some crazy long days at work and I just don't get time to rest. So this is a much needed distraction from work and the kids are down and yeah, I'm in a very, very good mood." She also goes on to say that Arsenal will smash Brentford by 12 goals to nil. Yeah, not sure about that, but I love the optimism. Keep up the good work, FK. Thank you so much. Afsar Gunner saying, "Evening, sir, FK, and all the Gooners. Thank you very much for that. Really appreciate it. Don't let the bees out of the hive. Keep them locked in. Come on, you Gunners," he says. V Vlad, good evening, FK, Wayne, and Rohan and chat. Good to see Rohan back on the firm. Love his insight. It is good to have Rohan back on the firm. I can't wait to see him back on the firm in just a couple of minutes' time. Hope we smash them tomorrow. Come on, you Gunners. Wayne getting us all ready for his snack check. My body is ready for snack check, people. Yembele has tweeted the Latte Firm Twitter account with a picture of his snack check, and it looked pretty good, to be fair. Wayne also goes on to say, "Good evening, Kings. Happy latte night, everyone," with a smiley face. Chan in the house. Evening, folks. Chan, loving your work with Arsenal Football Club. The photographs you the other night, absolutely Twitter handle. Let people go there. The Onyx_Len says, "Let's do this." And Gunnerblog, if you're watching, please don't sue me. Josh says, "Up the Arsenal." Patrick Carlson in the house, evening. Lucio, evening. Trevor Bibbins, good evening, FK. And the panel. Keep the chat coming. Yembele, evening panel. You already know my snack check. Honestly, Wayne has me mortified. Wayne's take has me mortified. Yeah, Wayne does have us mortified all the time. Cadbury's cornflakes bites are the next level. We shall see. Right, keep the chat coming. Karen, hello to you as well. Thanks very much for joining. Let's bring in our first guest. He needs no introduction. He is my co-host on the post-match phone-ins on a match day. It's Wayne. How are you, man?
I'm good, thank you very much. I don't know what my take is that is upset Yembele so much. All I said was they're random. I haven't seen them before. He's got the most random of cornflake things that I've just never seen before.
It's just a chocolate-covered cornflakes.
Yeah, I've seen like your regular ones, but he's gone up market and gone name brand, and they're not just like they're not like Rice Krispie cakes as you would know them, or like cornflake cakes or whatever. He's gone proper fancy with them.
Fair enough. Well, listen, welcome to the firm. I hope you've had a good week. We are already at hundreds of viewers live across both platforms. May I please ask you to press like on the video? It's a massive help to the channel. It's completely free, but it helps raise the profile on YouTube. Get involved in the chat. And of course, if you're new to this content, subscribe. Get involved. Plenty of content like this to come throughout the rest of the season. Wayne, it is a pleasure to have you on. And a drum roll for someone who's returning after so many months out, it feels like. Is Wuhan. How you doing, Ro? What's going on?
It's been so long, isn't it?
It's been like, mate, it's been so long. Like, you look like a man now. He started off as a boy. He's got his moustache sorted. He's got a fresh fade on the sides. He's grown up. He's a man. What's going on? How you been?
Oh, I don't know about that part, but still a kid by heart. Yeah, I'm good. It's just so good to be an Arsenal fan, isn't it?
It is so good to be an Arsenal fan. And listen, don't be humble about it. I've been watching you with Alexander on the Different Knock. I love the stuff that you guys do. Your weekly show now, not at 9 o'clock on a Thursday, but at 7 o'clock on a Thursday. And you're always complaining about how tiring your day job is. Like, what's going on, man? Are you enjoying life? Are you busy at the moment? What's going on?
Just really busy. Like, I used to write quite a lot about Arsenal in general. I've not written for like months and months because work's just very, very busy, with new roles and responsibilities. Yeah, but I can't complain. It's all good. It's just quite chaotic. Glad the weekend's here. It's been so long since I've been at the Emirates. The last game was Crystal Palace. And I can't make it tomorrow. But yeah, I'm a bit jealous about it because when I saw the Newcastle game and I saw the pre-match vibes and everything, it's great to watch.
Why can't you make it tomorrow?
Oh, I've just got a few things to do during the day, so I just won't be able to make it in time.
If your circumstances change, drop me a text, man. Misbah says, "Hi all, I've got a special snack for tonight." Well, don't keep us intrigued. Share it with us. Arteta's tummy says, "Wait, I wasn't ready. Scrambling for a snack. Go get it, Arteta's tummy. You've got some time." Yembele throwing around the compliments tonight, saying, "My word, Wayne, your hair is looking amazing."
Elite.
Wayne, man. I mean, your beard game is strong. The dimples are just about coming through. Look how he's managed to navigate
what it
that.
is? Do you know what it is, FK? It's not by choice. Every time I get a haircut, my daughter hates me for about 48 hours. It's like she doesn't recognize me. So to avoid the screaming and the punching, I just have to keep it growing. Otherwise, she's not gonna love me anymore.
Well, you got to do what you got to do to keep the kids happy. Listen, chaps, let's rip the plaster off with the old snack check. Charm's gone first. Peanut butter M&Ms for my snack check. Rohan, what you got tonight?
Oh, I'm a letdown. I'm an absolute letdown. I don't eat much. I don't eat much like sweets and savoury. I've just got my water.
Hey, listen.
I have to say though, my family love M&S stuff, especially the reduced section. Like after 7 o'clock, all the little bargains. Oh, they love it. They absolutely love it. Carrot cake's really good. Carrot cake.
Yeah, okay. I listen. If you haven't got a snack, at least you're telling the people what you would enjoy. And by the way, you bottled water. Mm-hmm. Are you? Do you have to drink bottled water only? Are you? Do you fill it up from the tap? Right. Okay. And what's your opinion on still or sparkling?
Sparkling's a no-go. It's a no-go.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Right. I bet I know what Wayne's going to say. I bet he's like, it's my drink of choice.
Unless you've
sparkling water can get in the bin.
Unless you've got indigestion. Unless you've got indigestion, but just get some Rennie or something.
That's it, mate. Anyone who drinks sparkling water, I've never understood it. It doesn't quench your thirst, doesn't taste of anything, gives you gas. What is the point? But Chan, that is a good shout, my friend. Yembele in the chat saying sparkling water is an abomination. Wayne, in fact, let me go first. I've just had a nice Chinese takeaway. It was my wife's birthday. We've gone light tonight. My kids have gone to sleep, so we had a little takeout and. My sweet treat tonight is, I've gone just old school but classics. I've just gone for a couple of small Twix bars. That's why I'm going to wash that down. The chocolate, the biscuit, the caramel. Yes.
I need to hear more about this Chinese order.
Mate, we had chicken dumplings to start with. I had a prawn chow mein, which is what she wanted. So king prawn chow mein with a mixed fried rice, obviously no pork or anything. We had beef, ginger and spring onion, a chicken in black bean sauce, and this crackly, spicy chicken sort of like starter, and crackers. And my God, what a feast. What a feast.
Delightful.
So good. Yeah, really, really delightful. What you got for us, man? You've been warning me about this.
I have. First of all, happy birthday to Mrs. FK. Hope she has a lovely weekend.
Thank you very much.
So, if you remember, FK, we nearly fell out over Christmas because of Pringles.
Is it a daily occurrence for you and I? Oh, no. Oh, no.
Because of Pringles. So, I brought a savoury and a sweet. So, the sweet I brought, it's nearly Easter, so I've gone for a hot cross bun. Hot cross bun with a little bit of butter on top and in the middle as well.
You love your butter.
I do. Butter is exceptional. And for savoury, the barbecue Pringles. Barbecue Pringles.
He's brought it back. The barbecue Pringles are a game changer. They are very, very good. Although I'm not sure about the combination together. Hot cross bun and a barbecue Pringle.
Savoury first.
Working for you.
Surely sweet and sour. Okay. Surely sweet and sour Pringles.
No. Don't give him any ideas, Rohan.
Stop. No. Sweet and
stop.
Sour cream is elite, followed by barbecue. Ready salted it's doable, but FK puts it at the top, and I'm just no.
Right. Damien Kelly, who might be a first-time viewer, says Food Channel. Is this a food channel? No, it's not. We have it's heritage now. Latte Firm Heritage, where we start off with a snack check. So listen, thank you everybody for joining. There are already well over 500 watching on YouTube alone. please do drop a like on the video, and welcome if you're tuning in for the first time. These are chill sessions, late night lattes. We talk about all the sort of news and gossip about Arsenal. We'll take a couple of viewers' questions as well, which have been tweeted into Latte Firm. And I really appreciate all of you making the time to watch. And if you're watching on Twitter, get involved in the chat. We'll get through some of the content as per normal. Chaps, I'm going to start by sharing my slide deck as I normally do. And Rohan, I'm going to come straight to you. The breaking news, Mikel Arteta has won Manager of the Month, and Arsenal do this thing where they always bring out the coaching staff. You can see the chaps up there on the top half of the screen on the right-hand side. It's been a phenomenal start to 2024, Ro. 7 games, 31 goals. We have the best goal difference in the league. We've scored the most goals, conceded the fewest. What a dream start. What's happened, Rohan? You know, we went to Dubai and we've come back. What's your take on it?
Need loads more Dubai trips, isn't it? But I, to be honest, I think it's been coming. You know, I think everyone's been looking at Arsenal's form post 2024 and onwards. But if you actually look at Arsenal, overall throughout the season, there was a turning point, and for me, it was post Newcastle, and that was Erdegaard's role change, where we dropped him deeper, and we effectively gave him the role from last season that he flourished in terms of more responsibility in build-up, and then crashing what we call the Erdegaard zone when we attack through the left, and he finished the moves off. And I think he's a very underrated finisher in general. And I think that's been the catalyst, and it's quite frustrating how we didn't persist with that from the get-go, given how much success it gave us last season, where Kai Havertz and Erdegaard, when they start together in central midfield on paper, at the start of the season, it was Kai Havertz dropping a lot deeper and it was Erdegaard really high. But when you're talking about maximizing the qualities of and the skill set of those two players, you want Havertz a lot higher. You want Erdegaard a lot deeper, being able to dictate. And we've been able to carry that forward post Newcastle and onwards. And there was a period in December where we played against Aston Villa, we played against West Ham. And the narrative was that Arsenal... It is frustrating. It is frustrating, and you know, I can bring up the numbers and the eye test and everything. And I said at the time that the performances were fine. The only difference was that our finishing was so poor, our efficiency in the final third of support. And as a coach, you know, Pep Guardiola's famous quote was, "My job is to take you to the final third, and then your job is to finish it. I can create the platform for you, but I can't put the ball in the back of the net for you. What I can do is maximize the players that I have in those situations," which I think Arteta at times this season hasn't done in terms of how wide Martinelli has been, where you want Martinelli a lot more closer to goal, which we've seen post 2024 and onwards, especially with the inclusion of Kivior. But the major difference has been our efficiency. So it's not a surprise to me, but I have to say, in terms of the number of goals that we're scoring, that definitely is a shock, you know, and it's a difference from last season in terms of we're a lot more ruthless, and we're going into games with a lot more arrogance as fans as well, thinking, you know, we're thinking about 4 or 5-0 scorelines, and people can look at that as cocky, etc. But that's what this team's doing. It's giving us that belief, and you know, you can't argue with him being given that award. And I'm very, very optimistic going forward, and I think we're peaking at the right time. That was the difference between last season, outside of the injuries that we sustained with Saliba and Tomiyasu. But yeah, it's been so good.
Oh, it has been so good. And listen, your point about peaking at the right time, I hope so too. You know, it's the 8th of March. There's still a couple of months of football to go and a big competition to come up in the middle of the week with the Champions League. But, you know, to your point about what's changed, you know, he reminded us painfully of the West Ham, the Fulham, the Villa, and of course the Newcastle defeat at St James's Park, which was really down to sort of VAR and how unlucky we got. And I feel, you know, I tweeted today, and I've taken pelters for it, that, you know, our underlying metrics are so amazing this season, but like to mess up those 4 fixtures and the Fulham game in particular, we were 1-0 up and it was criminal. Like it's as frustrating as it is heartbreaking. And it wasn't a criticism of the club. It's just like, you know, only one team of these 3 is going to win the league, and our underlying metrics are phenomenal, yet we're still 3rd of the 3. Yeah, it's just really interesting. Go on, right?
Just really quickly. I think that when we look back towards the end of the season, and it's going to be in my mind, it's those 2 Fulham fixtures that are the most disappointing, because you can lose a game like West Ham because the amount of chances we created in that game, the opportunities, you play that game 10 times, Arsenal win 9 times out of 10. But not beating Fulham once out of 2 fixtures, that for me could be one of the key factors if we don't win the league, you know. And a lot is riding on that Man City game at the Etihad, but really it shouldn't be, because we beat them at the Emirates. You know, you don't need to beat your competitor in 2 games out of the two games that you played, but we might be in that situation where we do have to win at the Etihad now.
Yeah, I think you're right. Just on the Manager of the Month award, both of you chaps, how many awards do you think Mikel Arteta has won in his time at Arsenal? Have a guess.
I think it's 5 or 6.
Wayne, you?
6. I'll go 6.
Isn't it 7? I think it's 7.
He has won 7. Now, let me ask you a different question. Arsene Wenger, how many Manager of the Month awards do you think he won in his entire career at Arsenal?
I think that's 6.
There's no way Mikel Arteta has won more than Arsene Wenger in his entire time, surely. I'll go for 9.
He
I'll go for
hasn't.
9.
He hasn't.
I think Wenger's got 9.
What, in 22 years?
Yeah.
Wow. So the reality is it's 7 for Mikel and 15 for Arsene Wenger, right?
6.
But it's mind blowing. So Paul James was fastest off the mark, 15 for Arsene Wenger, Vive Lad, 7 for Arteta. It's mind blowing to me when I read that, because Arteta's been here 4 years. We finished 8th in 2 of those years. Yeah, Arsene Wenger was at the top of English football for so many years, and he had so many great title-winning seasons that he only won 15 awards. It's really sort of blew me. But anyway, Wayne, coming to you, Manager of the Month, deserved for Mikel, in your opinion?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just very frustrating that we didn't do the double, because I have no idea how Bukayo Saka hasn't come away with a Player of the Month. I have no idea how that's gone to Højlund instead of Saka for the month that he had. So we should have really done the double, but it's absolutely deserved for Mikel Arteta. You win the games that you've won and score the amount of goals that you scored. There's no doubt about it. And I think that just the way that we've played since coming back this from that winter break, or half sort of season break, whatever you want to call it, coming back from Dubai, it's just been a phenomenal turnaround in confidence. And I think that that's the main difference between what we're seeing now and what we saw sort of in December, when things weren't going our way. We looked leggy, we looked tired. The players were lethargic, although I'll never doubt their effort. Players like Ben White were playing 90 minutes week in, week out on basically one leg, it looked like, because he wasn't putting in the level of performances we know that he's capable of and the level of quality that we know that he's got. And just some sort of group time away from the Premier League. And I think Ødegaard said it best post Sheffield United. It was just the right time for the team. I think that they were getting a little bit tired. I think that they were getting a little bit jaded of playing every sort of 2-3 days, whatever it was. They just needed the getaway. They needed the break. And it came at the perfect time. And look, I'm not claiming or thinking that this run is going to last forever. But while it is, as Arsenal fans, we just have to enjoy it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Listen, it's a great start to the calendar year. Great time for Mikel Arteta. Great time for the squad. And we've just, really hit the ground running, which is phenomenal. And this title race is just exploding into action. One of the things, Rohan, that's really kind of sprung us into this position that we are is just the efficiency of our team defending, right? Jamie Carragher quoted as saying Arsenal the best defensive team in Europe. Sam, my good friend from _Arsenal, has given us an image there of a few of the best centre-back pairings in Europe. I mean, just how good are these two in particular? I know we're sort of talking about our defensive ability as a team, but Saliba and Gabriel, the way they partner each other, I've obviously been around a lot longer than both of you guys, and I've been lucky enough to see so many amazing centre-back pairings in my time, certainly in the Premier League era. For a lot of people, these might be the two best defenders they've ever seen, certainly for the younger generation. I mean, how good are these two, Ro?
It's ridiculous. And I think on paper, a few years ago when we actually signed Gabriel, and that was during the period in which Saliba went out on loan to multiple clubs, this was the two centre-backs that we wanted partnering at the time, and I think as Arsenal fans, we sometimes take it for granted how good they are, because we see it week in, week out in terms of the performances, how they support each other. And they've came up against every single possible challenge, that's come towards them, and they thrived. In terms of the big physical centre forward, they're capable of making it very difficult for them, isolating them. And when it comes to those players, the forwards who like to run in behind, they can deal with that. They can defend the channels. They allow us to the way that we press. It's due to these two centre-backs because of the flexibility and the versatility that they provide. When we start zonal in our press, which for me is very key, because last season I mentioned about peaking too early outside of the Saliba and Tomiyasu injuries, but I felt that our press was so effective, but we were ultra aggressive from the get-go. And we achieved such good effectiveness, but we burnt out towards the end. This season, we're conserving more energy whilst achieving the same effectiveness. So it's a lot more efficient, but we can go even more aggressive in certain situations when we force teams wide. That's the trigger to go man-to-man. And that's when these two, they start zonal, they'll be like 2v1 against the centre forward. But then once we force them wide, Saliba will cover White on the channel, who's then pushed on, or Gabriel will cover the channel when Zinchenko or Tomiyasu or Kivior pushes on. They give you so much flexibility and versatility, and I honestly, they deserve so much praise because they've been hands down the two best centre backs for 2 seasons now in terms of as a partnership. And I think a massive reason as to why they're so good is because they've been able to play week in, week out with each other. I think chemistry in football sometimes goes so underrated, especially at the heart of the defence. You know, I think it was Arsene at the time saying, you know, you can chop and change a lot of different positions across your lineup, but you don't want to chop and change your centre-back partnership. You know, you have your 2 starters and you want to play them week in, week out to develop that chemistry, to develop that level of synergy. And Arsenal out of possession alongside Declan Rice, they're the best team in the world. You know, there's no team that is comparable to Arsenal right now. And the scary thing is that it doesn't look like we're burning out. It doesn't look like we're burning loads of energy because of the principles and how we're a lot more conservative in our structure and our press. But these two, if we want to go ultra aggressive and go man-to-man from the get-go, they enable you to do that. You know, Arsenal can't play the way that they do without having centre-backs like Gabriel and Saliba, who are quick, strong, big, physical, defending the channels, box defending. Gabriel so good in that aspect. Also attacking the box as well in terms of set pieces. They give you everything, and we shouldn't take it for granted. We should keep praising them because it's one of those things where I think it was Gilberto Silva, the invisible wall. You notice his difference when he's not there, and these two, if they sustain an injury, we saw it last season with Saliba. You notice his difference. So
the chemistry between these two, Wayne, is also something to be talked about because I can't think of a player who I'd want to see alongside Gabriel more than Saliba, and I can't think of a player who I'd want to see alongside Saliba more than Gabriel. Like the yin and yang, the north and south, like they're opposites, but they both complement each other so beautifully. You know, we've talked long about Saliba's elegance on the ball and the aura that he has for this young man and his defensive ability, strength, recovery pace, everything. Then you talk about Gabriel, who's always been this sort of, you know, rough and rugged, colossal partner. But, you know, that's sometimes a bit harsh because actually Gabriel's got a nice finesse to his game. And you could argue that actually down the left-hand side, Gabriel's had a lot of uncertainty this season. You know, he started off with Timber. He's had Zinchenko coming in and out, Tomiyasu coming in and out. More recently, Kivior, he's got Declan Rice or Kai Havertz up ahead, just sort of towards the left. Martinelli's not been functioning as much as, you know, as he was last season. And on the right-hand side, Saliba's got White, who's been fairly prominent throughout the season. He's got Saka and Ødegaard ahead. So, like, Gabriel's been through a lot more. And yet he doesn't get the praise that Saliba gets. Now, I don't want to pick one over the other, but what a pairing. And I guess the same question to you, Wayne. I mean, are they up there? You know, Van Dijk and Konate is obviously a great partnership. Van Dijk's been in, you know, the top of the game for a few years now, as much as I hate Liverpool. But these two are knocking on that door.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think to your point about sort of Saliba's finesse and the aggression that Gabriel brings, I think the best thing about the two of them is that they can do either or job dependent on the opponent that you've got. Recently, we've seen Saliba take on a little bit more of like a central role with, or more going more advanced with Ben White playing into the midfield and Gabriel just kind of sitting there with Kivior to his left. And I think the development on the ball from Gabriel has been phenomenal. He's always been able to play out a diagonal ball, but now he's doing it with such efficiency and such accuracy that it's just been brilliant to watch. And it doesn't really matter whether it's a Harry Kane type striker, a Erling Haaland type striker, a Callum Wilson type striker. They seem to have an answer for everything. And when you look at them and you think about them and you see them play football and you think about how physical they are, if they're on their game and they're not making silly mistakes or they don't have a lapse in concentration, and that can happen to any footballer, regardless of whether you're world class or not. That can happen to anyone. Just basic sort of fundamentals. How do you beat them? Because you whip in crosses into the box, they're both fantastic in the air. You try to press them, they're both brilliant on the ball. you try to wait for them to make a mistake. They don't really make mistakes. They don't really give away the ball too often. And it's just been phenomenal to see their growth as a partnership. And as Rowan said, I think Arsenal fans have wanted to see this partnership since sort of the Saliba deal was announced, since we signed Gabriel. But there's no way that they would have come on this strong if we had just thrown them in at the deep end when we didn't have the solid foundations around them, if we didn't have the quality that we've got now and the quality that we sort of had last season when Saliba was first coming to shine in this team. So their development together has been fantastic. And you both mentioned the Fulham game earlier on the season. It will always be the what if Gabriel played at the start of the season? What if Gabriel was there? You just never know what might have happened with some of the results that maybe didn't go our way. So I'm with you. I feel for Gabriel sometimes because he's got the job of two defenders at times. When Zinchenko's doing that inverted role and has a lot more of the ball, he has to go 2v1 and he's the one, and he more often than not comes out on top. And I've said all season that with those two and Declan Rice, I think we're the sort of best defensive team in Europe. I've said it all season. And we're just so solid. And for once, we're going to places like the Etihad. We're going up against Brentford, and we have an intimidation about us. We're scary. We've got, as a load of people like to say about Van Dijk, an aura, and that's what Saliba and Gabriel are absolutely developing.
Just a quick one as well, Faisal. I think Gabriel will never be rated as much at Arsenal because of how generational Saliba is. I think that is the reality of the situation, and it's quite unfortunate. But as Arsenal fans, I don't think we should really care because they both play for our football club. And just really quickly, in terms of on the ball, I think this season they're tasked with being a lot more versatile than last season in terms of in possession. Now, you think of one of the changes that I think has helped Martinelli a lot post 2024, who I think has been one of our underrated performers since the turn of the new year, is Kivior operating a lot wider as opposed to asking him to come inside, where he doesn't possess the 360-degree awareness like a Zinchenko to scan and to be able to pick passes through the lines under pressure in those situations. By forcing him wider and effectively trying to maximize Kivior, who's playing effectively left centre-back in build-up, which is what Gabriel would usually be playing, that's forcing Gabriel to come a lot more central. And then White situationally coming inside into midfield in certain moments, that's forcing Saliba to come wider in build-up. So what this is doing is that perhaps this isn't the optimum way of using them on the ball, but it's increasing the versatility at which they're able to play on in multiple different zones. And then when you think including Timber and Arsenal having their best team, it's just going to make us a lot more unpredictable and being able to rotate through different structures across the back line. So I think that's something that's different from last season. But again, yeah, you like Wayne says, we shouldn't take this for granted. What they're doing is not normal, especially at the age at which they're playing at, for the Arsenal as well. So it's
phenomenal. It's phenomenal. And you used the word generational road to describe Saliba. I've said now on this channel for a few months that I think William Saliba is probably the best young player I've ever seen. And I loved Cesc. I loved Jack. I loved so many of the players that we've had over the years, Nicolas Anelka. What this guy is doing at this age, his output against the competition that he's facing on the biggest stage, unbelievable. And James07 in the chat just says, good to see Gabriel finally getting the recognition he deserves this season. Been far too disrespected in the past few years, in my opinion. He is the one who sets the high standards for Arsenal's defence a few years ago. Richard Banks also giving a shout out to Rule Walters, big talent, yet to be given game time. Yes, you're absolutely right. Yembele saying, I think even this season we can't afford an injury to either one, as the high line is only possible due to their physical combination. Yeah, their recovery is absolutely phenomenal. Tawana Brooks says Saliba needs to work on his passes. That's her opinion on that. Appreciate that. Galvo says, I watch a lot of Arsenal content. Sorry, Wayne, to cover you temporarily. Why is there a constant need for recognition or praise from the media or other fans? Are the wins, performances not enough? I'm not sure if that's aimed at me or the channel, Galvo, or even the guests tonight. I don't think, I mean, certainly I don't go craving for attention from other fans and media. I think we all love Saliba and Gabriel more than enough. By the way, I can't not take this opportunity to say, according to StreamYard, there are 1,100 people watching live right now. That is a record, I'm sure of it, for a Friday night. Most of you are watching live on X, and I don't know why, but the comments seem to have been disabled from X. But if you are watching on X, please do follow Latte Firm On a match day, you'll get a post-match phone-in, which are awesome, available on Apple and Spotify. Wayne and I co-host those. If you are interested in YouTube content, of course, we do the late night lattes, a couple of shows during the week. One is post-match, one is pre-match. And then, of course, you get the quick reaction videos after every game. So what's there not to love? Get liking, get loving, get following.
Subscribe.
Yeah, absolutely. Subscribe.
Follow Latte Firm, follow Faisal. It's got to be done. It has to be done.
It has to be done. And listen, it's Brentford up next. We're going to focus on the title race and Liverpool versus Manchester City shortly. But for us, chaps, we have a chance to go top of the league tomorrow, ahead of that game at Anfield on Sunday. And I guess the question to you is, what are you expecting from Arteta and Arsenal in terms of lineup? So, Wayne, let's stick with you. David Raya will not play because he is obviously on loan until we sign him permanently, which means Aaron Ramsdale could come into goal. Potentially, possibly, Aaron Ramsdale's final ever appearance at the Emirates, which could be playing on his mind. And then, of course, we've got the other sort of pickle of FC Porto. We've got the 1-0 deficit from the first leg. They come to the Emirates this week. What does Mikel do? What do you do with the starting lineup ahead of tomorrow's game?
Assuming everyone comes through sort of any fitness tests and the likes of Martinelli.
I think so. I mean, so depending on who you follow on socials, Martinelli's cut was quite a complex, deep cut. It's unlikely that he'll be back. I haven't watched Mikel Arteta's press conference or anything. I just go by what you guys talk about in the Elites chat on Twitter, to be fair. But I mean, look, give the caveat. If Martinelli's out, who would you play left? If he's fit, obviously we assume he's going to start. What would you do?
I think Trossard comes in for Martinelli regardless of whether he's 100% sort of fit or not. I don't think Martinelli's playing badly at all, but I'd rather just keep him to one side, ready for that Porto game, and not have an issue with that cut if something were to happen. And I think that would probably be the only change I make, apart from Ramsdale coming into goal. I know we've got Porto on the horizon, but now is not the time for widespread changes. Now is not the time to look at rotation. Now is not the time to think about tired legs. We've not played sort of back-to-back or 2 games in a week for the majority of this year. I think somebody said that Sheffield United was maybe only our 9th game of the year, whereas a team like Liverpool and Manchester City were already reaching sort of 14s and 15s. So fatigue and tiredness shouldn't be something that's really crossing our mind. And after Porto, because of the Chelsea game being postponed, we've got a long break ahead of Manchester City. And assuming that everyone comes back from international duty okay, or if we can fake some injuries and get people out of international duty, that would be even better. You don't have to worry about your fitness and fatigue going into Manchester City. You go and do your job against Brentford, and the club are hyping it up again. I don't know if anyone's received the emails or seen sort of on X or other social media. They're doing a very similar thing to what we done pre-Newcastle, which is the light show, the flags, the flames. We've got revenge on our mind yet again because of what happened last season. And because of how we were wronged by VAR in a really important game. Now, we ended up messing it up ourselves sort of later on in the season, but no one was to know that at the time that the incident happened against Brentford. So that's really still fresh in the memory. And every time we go for revenge against someone, look at what we've done against Newcastle, for example, we really just go at their throats. And this is another opportunity to do so. We managed to rest some legs by bringing them off early against Sheffield United. So there's no reason to change a winning formula right now.
I'll tell you what also is fresh in the mind, Rohan, and that's, of course, Ivan Toney's tweet. Man, I tweeted the clip from All or Nothing earlier today. That really stuck in Mikel's stomach and maybe one of the reasons why we're not actively pursuing him. But what do you make of the game tomorrow, Ro? And to this comment here from Tawana saying, Ramsdale in goal, I'm nervous. So look, we're going to have that change in between the sticks. A, how does that make you feel? And B, looking ahead to the game on Tuesday, would you make any changes to the team?
I would make a change, a couple of changes personally. I think in terms of the Ramsdale scenario, I think the narrative on Aaron Ramsdale has become quite unfair on him. He's made mistakes at Arsenal, but what he has achieved and what he has given to the football club in terms of that transition away from a Burnley to a Ramsdale, he was a massive part in this project, and he still could be a massive part in this project. Depending on if Arsenal look to push him out on a loan or sell him. I do think this could be probably Aaron Ramsdale's last game at Arsenal, depending on if David Raya sustains an injury. And by the way, I think David Raya deserves a lot of praise because post-Luton and onwards, I think there's a narrative that, he's not facing any shots on goal, therefore you can't necessarily judge him. The top teams, the goalkeepers, do not face many shots on goal. And you have to look at David Raya and the marginal gains that he was initially given to us in terms of performances. But those marginal gains are a lot more now. In terms of build-up composure, what he does really well is that he can move and vacate his post. He's confident in leaving his post and moving into central centre-back, right centre-back, left centre-back. His long-range kicking, particularly to a Kai Havertz, that's a really good dynamic that we have. His high claims, how he kickstarts transitions quickly with his throws and also his long-range kicking. He's giving us so much quality. But Aaron Ramsdale is still a top goalkeeper, and I don't think we should worry about that whatsoever. But obviously, David Raya right now is giving Arsenal so much. The game tomorrow, I think we should be really confident. Brentford, in terms of injuries, I think they've probably been the most unfortunate this season. They've literally had, I think, every single player from their starting 11, their best 11, has been injured for a period of time this season. And I think Thomas Frank is a really good coach. They'll come to the Emirates and they will press us. They always do, regardless of the opponent. But what they do really well is that when they know the team has bypassed that first line of pressure, they collapse quickly to a low block, this 5-3-2. So I think they'll have Tony and Visser up top. And I think for me, I think Jorginho is so crucial to the Porto game in terms of that ball over the top. That's something we lacked against Porto in the first leg, and I'd want that for sure in the second leg, and I think that'll be key. So I would take Jorginho out. I would manage his workload personally, and I think Declan Rice should move to the base to give us that 3v2 against their two up front.
Yeah.
Because Visser and Tony, it's a good blend in terms of on the break. You think of like Vardy, Okazaki, Jermaine Defoe, and Peter Crouch. Those types of strikers. Tony holding it up and then Visser running in behind. I think having those three as part of your rest defense will give you security in those moments. And I would look to bring Emil Smith-Rowe in if you want some ball carrying in that left central midfield role on paper, or Fabio Vieira in terms of someone who's going to be able to open that block up with his passing. And Kai Havertz, I think in terms of continuity, he needs to stay up top. I've been a massive advocate for Kai Havertz to be playing in that centre forward role. I think the sample size is increasing, the range of teams that we're playing against, with him performing well, not just himself, but the team as a whole. It's clicking, and I think we should continue with that. And the final point, Brentford will operate with a back five. We do really well against back five teams, and I think that half space cross towards the back post, think of the winner Havertz got at their ground. I think that'll be key. So I think a little bit of rotation, not too much. And then the Porto game, I would start effectively that team that's right there. But for tomorrow, I would bring Smith-Rowe in, and Ramsdale obviously comes in, and Jorginho comes out.
If Martinelli's not available, who are you playing out wide on the left?
Well, I think we know Mikel will go with Trossard. But personally, in terms of that touchline role, I don't think that's maximising Trossard's skill set. I do think that you're going to get more from someone like a Reece Nelson, or even Emil Smith-Rowe. Emil Smith-Rowe starting left wing with a Kivior coming out wide. Think of that Tierney and Smith-Rowe dynamic during the start of Arteta's reign. That can work as well. But I think Trossard will obviously get the nod. It's usually first change, barring Sheffield United. It's usually Trossard for Martinelli, regardless of what's happening. But I would look to try and go for a Nelson person.
Interesting.
The one thing,
go on, mate.
Sorry, I was going to say, the one thing I do want to say, just on Aaron Ramsdale, this is going to be a big game for us and for him. Like, think about what he's probably thinking at this point. He's not played for nearly 4 months. I think his last game was against Brentford or against West Ham in the Carabao Cup, was Brentford in the league after that? It might have been.
It was
Brentford
Liverpool
in
the Cup, I think. That was his last game.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a while ago, a while ago, he's not played for ages. He knows just how improved we are with David Raya in goal. He can see it. I'm sure that he kind of acknowledges it the way that we do. And I'm sure he's feeling some element of nerves, not like he's ever felt in an Arsenal shirt before. I'm sure there would have been nerves at his debut, but not like this, because once again, we're coming into a situation where we're in a title race. Every 3 points is important. You're coming in potentially for one game where in the back of your mind, you know that fans have blamed you for what happened against Southampton last season. You know that fans have blamed you for bad results in the past. That's all going to be playing on his mind. And what I hope is, if he does go in the summer, everyone sort of wishes him well. But for this Brentford game, if you're in the stadium, if you're lucky enough to be in the crowd, if you're watching at home, just try not to get on his back especially if you're in the stadium. He's probably going to misplace a pass here or two. It's not easy to just come in fresh off no football and get everything 100% perfect. And if we don't win 4-5-0 and it's maybe a tight 2-1 or a 1-0 or something like that, assuming he doesn't do anything so drastically bad like throw the ball in his own net, it's not necessarily going to be his fault. So don't look for him to be a scapegoat. Like, support him like we've done with loads of our players throughout the last couple of years, and especially in the crowd. Obviously, we're lucky enough to be there week in, week out, FK. We know that sometimes the Emirates crowd can get a bit jittery if a misplaced pass happens, or if we're going through a 5-10 minute spell under pressure. The fans can sometimes get on players' back. This is not the game for that. We need Aaron Ramsdale at tip-top condition, and we know that David Raya is coming back in probably the next game, and if it is his last one, let's make it a memorable one.
Yeah, look, Karen says the way internet fans turned on Ramsdale is really shameful. Theo says Ramsdale strikes me as a goalkeeper who relies on a lot of confidence. His confidence must be at an all-time low now. Look, my thoughts on Ramsdale is that I loved him. I think the connection that he has with the Arsenal fans, and still now, I think, tomorrow, I think when his name's read out in the lineup, I think he'll get nothing but cheers, nothing but love. Like, the Arsenal faithful who go to games, and most of the Arsenal faithful watching from around the world will have a soft spot for Rambo. And me personally, I'm not ready to see him go and play for Chelsea just yet, or play for Newcastle just yet. Like, I don't want to hate him. And the other thing is that, injuries are so unpredictable, and it doesn't happen that often to goalkeepers, but it might. So whilst it might be Rambo thinking, right, it's my last game for Arsenal at home tomorrow, he's want to go out on a high, so much can change in football very, very quickly. So, there's still 2 months to go, lots of football to play. And Rambo, for me, absolutely has a role. Wally Arsenal in the chat says, I don't see Jorginho managing 2 games in a week. 2 goals in a week would be incredible as well. I think we need him more for Porto. I'd go with Rice, Trossard and Erdi. And if no Martinelli, play ESR wide. That is my shout too, Wally. I would love to see Smith Rowe. I like his ball carrying. I like his secondary runs, Rohan into the box. He gives and goes. Just a very direct player, very clever. And he looked really lean in that cameo appearance that he made against Palace, well, some weeks back now, but he hasn't had any game time since. So there we go. So look, I'm going to ask you your predictions, chaps, before we move on to Liverpool, City and the title race. Yembele in the chat saying 3-0 to the Arsenal. Wally's going 2-0 to the Arsenal. James a little bit more confident saying 5-0. That would be incredible, wouldn't it? 4 games in a row, scoring 5 or more. That would be insane. V Vlad saying 4-1 to Arsenal. He's even gone on and said Saka with 2, Trossard and Ødegaard, Tony for them. I wonder what sort of reception Ivan Toney's going to get tomorrow. Richard Banks in the house says 3-1 to the Arsenal. Arsenal Granny, welcome to the show. Arsenal 3, Brentford 0. Clean sheets, that's what I like to see. Trevor Bibben says 3-1 to the Arsenal. Afsar saying a tight 1-0 win. But if we score early, then 3-1. Tony will score. Interesting. AFC Danny Swee says 4-0 to the Arsenal, and Galvo saying 3-1. Kings saying 2-0. Lots of really interesting score predictions there. Just before you make your minds up, chaps, a couple of head-to-head facts. Brentford's only win against Arsenal in the past 10 meetings was that 2-0 game in that first home Premier League game when we all saw Carragher and Neville dancing. They have lost 7 and drawn 2 in that run. They are attempting to win away at Arsenal for the first time since 1938. But then in that time, they've only actually played us 6 times, so that's a little bit misleading. But it's for the theatre. We've obviously won our first 7 games of the calendar year. We've scored 31 goals in those 7 games and conceded only 3. Isn't it nice to get XGs of 2s and 3s, but actually score 4s, 5s, and 6s for once, which is good. Brentford have won only one of their past 7 league games. They are in a dire run of form. And I think I read correctly on the BBC website, 4 of their starting back 5 are missing tomorrow. So, I mean, come on, Ro, set us up. What do you think is going to happen? What's the score? I can see it. I can see it. He's going to let go. Go on.
I think we don't realise how many injuries they have. They're literally crippled. There's no Pinnock. I don't think there's no Ben Mee. Hickey's been out for God knows how long. Rico Henry's out. And Mbeumo doesn't make it. I think he's training. They're going to get smashed because they just don't have any quality in that back line. I can see it being a 4-0, 4 or 5-0, honestly. I think if it was Brentford's best team, it could be a little bit more tricky. I'd still expect Arsenal to win like a 2-0 scoreline, but I think with the injuries they have, It'll be a 4-0.
Arthur
That
must
goal
be new
difference is
around
so
here.
important as well. That goal difference is so important.
It is. Arthur must be new around here. Tony Hattrick. Arthur, well, you're welcome to the show, my friend. But listen, I agree with you. And actually, just before I come to you, Wayne, for your prediction on this, I was a little bit disappointed that we only scored one in the second half against Sheffield United. I know that's an audacious thing to say because we beat them 6-0, and actually we'd scored 2 in 8 consecutive halves prior to that half, which is insane, a new record. But I do feel like this league title race could go down to goal difference, and I just hope we're not, made to rue that second half. And I think tomorrow, if we start well, we score first and early, I think Brentford are in trouble. And I think it could be another hammering. Wayne, your thoughts, your prediction before we move on.
I think it'll be 3-1 to Arsenal. I think we'll... No, I do think Tony will get a goal because of every sort of story around him and how Arsenal fans are very, don't we want him to join. But yeah, I think Tony scores, but it will probably be a late consolation, one of those. I think we're comfortably sort of 3-0 up, and Mikel Arteta makes subs looking ahead to Porto around about the 65th minute and just rest some legs in particularly midfield, and hopefully get some more minutes for the likes of Jesus and Partey, who will probably be more sort of close to starting against that in that Porto game in midweek. So yeah, I think 3-1 Arsenal.
Did you see, just talking of Ivan Toney before we move on, he was asked about his top 3 strikers of all time. And I don't know if it's because his dream move to Arsenal has maybe been dashed, but he named Defoe, Berbatov, and I think it was Aguero. Did that surprise either of you?
No, the Berbatov one kind of makes sense given the way that he plays. They're very not similar. Berbatov was just absolutely incredible quality, but you can see why Tony would pick someone like Berbatov, and you can imagine that he probably molds his game off of him. Jermaine Defoe, I imagine, was someone he looked up to growing up because Jermaine Defoe was just banging in goals at a young age, and he was playing for the big sort of teams in and around that time and just doing it for fun. And yeah, I think he's a bit salty. He's a bit miserable about it, but listen, I can't. He's not my, some of the things he says in interviews, they're not my cup of tea, but good luck to him.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
Okay. Well, let's move on. And let's move on to the Premier League title race because it is now beginning to spice up. And there is a big game at Anfield. Liverpool play Manchester City. Just another shameless plug, by the way. There are now 1,482 of you watching live right now across both YouTube and Latte Firm, which is insane for a Friday night. Please do follow Latte Firm if you're on X, the only place you can get post-match phone-ins, quick reaction videos, and of course, late-night lattes. If you're watching on YouTube, please do subscribe and like the video. It's a massive help to the channel. We're on our way to 30,000 subscribers. First question straight off the bat is, what do we want as a fan base in this fixture on Sunday? I've heard so many takes. Some people think City are going to come strong and they want Liverpool to rack up the points now because they're not confident of Liverpool winning the league title, which is weird given they've only lost 2 or 3 games in about 50 games. Others want Liverpool to get absolutely pumped, and I think I'm on that side of the fence. I want City to go to Anfield and beat them. I think Liverpool need a humbling desperately because they are far too arrogant and far too confident for my liking. And many just, sort of sat on the fence, want a draw. Where's your sort of heads at? Ro, you go first because you can see the league table there. Liverpool top, played 27-63. Man City second, played 27-62. And Arsenal in third, played 27-61 on the board.
Oh, this is... I was thinking about this all day at work and also on the train back. And I've changed my mind so much. I don't think there's a bad result for us anyway. When one of your title rivals drops points, it's always good. That's the first thing I want to say. The best result for me is a draw. In terms of stifling momentum, I'd want both my rivals to be dropping points, and that puts it in our hands. And Man City winning, that also puts it in our hands because we go to the Etihad, and then we lose that game. Let's say we can only blame ourselves. Whereas if Liverpool win the remaining games and they win the league, and there's nothing we can do about it. But for me, I would say a draw is the best result because I want to stifle the momentum both. And yesterday, I felt a Man City win was my second favourite result out of it. But now I've changed it. I think a Liverpool win is what I would like outside of the draw. And the reason why is even though Liverpool's fixtures are the most favourable out of all of us in terms of City and ourselves, of course, but I can't see them winning 10 in a row now. I know I've been looking at the way they've been performing and they've been grinding it out in many games. And I just can't see them continuing that. And I look at Manchester City under Pep Guardiola, the sample size that we have available to us. Granted, I don't see it. I don't see them clicking yet, but they have always clicked at this stage of the season and onwards, and they've gone on a ridiculous run. I'd want to stifle their momentum more than Liverpool's momentum because I've seen what Man City can do, and Liverpool, they've lost the title by a single point twice against City, but I'm still more worried about Man City. So therefore I would like a Liverpool win as my second favourite result, and then the City win at the end. But I do think City will win. I do think City will beat them. I think they'll humble them.
Okay. King saying, I want a 5-5 draw, but it would be a City win if it had to be someone winning. Wayne, where's your head at? Rose says he's been thinking about this all day. Lots of people in the chat actually want a Liverpool win. I can't get my head over that. I think if Liverpool win this game, I think the momentum...
title over.
The psychological impact of Liverpool winning this game whilst they've got so many injuries, knowing that it's going to be potentially a fairy tale ending for Klopp last season, all that sort of stuff, that would be the worst thing for the Premier League. Like, I think it would be insufferable. Like watching Jurgen Klopp go out with the title and Liverpool fans give it the big, like, no. I would much rather City spank them and won the league if it wasn't meant to be. But of course, I want us to win the league most of all. Where's your head at, Wayne?
Under no circumstance can Liverpool come away with this fixture with points. A win, or there's no circumstance that Liverpool can get even a point from this game. And the reason for it is because, as to Rowan's point, I agree. We've said all season, Liverpool can't keep doing this. Liverpool can't keep grinding out results. Liverpool can't keep getting away with these performances. 27 games, they're top of the table. They've got away with it. And we're not talking about Arsenal under Unai Emery. We're not talking about sort of underlying metrics. We're talking about Anfield voodoo, and we're talking about Jurgen Klopp script. There's no circumstance, there's no situation where they can come away from this City game with anything but a pasting. And I don't care if it's sort of 5-6-0 on the scoreline. It could be 1-2-0 as long as Manchester City absolutely batter them on the pitch. My worry is Manchester City do not have the best record at Anfield. They do not go there and win sort of regularly. They've gone and done it before, but they usually do something which costs them. Whether it's
on that thought, Wayne, Pep has taken City to Anfield 8 times. How many times do you think he's won?
What, in the Premier League or all competitions?
I want to say all competitions.
I think he's only won there twice.
Once.
I don't think so. It's only the COVID season.
He only won there once and beaten 5 times.
That's crazy.
5 times? Do you both? No. So do you both think they'll win the remaining 10 fixtures if they win?
I think they can. I think everyone.
Hang on. Who? Liverpool.
So if Liverpool beat Man City, you think they'll win the remaining 10 fixtures? You think?
Absolutely.
I don't think. Actually, no. I will stick my head on the line here and say I don't think all 3 of these teams. I don't think any of these 3 teams are going to win every single game in the last 10. So I don't think there's going to be a 100% record. I think Liverpool, with the fixture that they have, and I've just brought up the next 5 courtesy of Sky Sports on screen, because I don't want to get too carried away and look at the last sort of 11 fixtures each. But Liverpool have got some really nice fixtures towards the end of the season. I think they play Wolves, they play Villa away. There's a couple of maybe potential banana skins, but I think if they overcome City on Sunday in front of the Kop, I think they have the bit between the teeth. They already have the bit between the teeth. The fortune they're getting, the resilience they have, the 99th minute winner at Forest that we saw from Darwin Nunez. They are a chance creation monster. They have players to come back. Trent's almost back. Salah's going to be back. Like all of this, Szoboszlai is back. Like all of this stuff makes a big difference. And I just think a win on Sunday for Liverpool gives them that trigger to just build that momentum. And you know what, Ro? I wouldn't put it past them to go on.
I wouldn't put it past them. But they won't.
I think that's just.
They won't do it.
No, they probably
Yeah.
won't, but I don't think this season. I don't think City or Arsenal will either. The problem that I have is if they can get through the City game with no Trent, Salah at about half fitness, no Alisson, potentially no Konate, no Curtis Jones. That's 5 starting players.
Yeah.
If they can get through Man City, and after the international break, I imagine that none of those 5 will travel, and they'll all miraculously be back for that Brighton game after the international break. It's impossible to see how they stop, even with Europa League, even with the FA Cup. And they're not the deepest of squads, but somehow Klopp just gets them playing way above what a regular energy level team should be playing like. And that just is what makes him so miraculous in terms of the way that he coaches. And the big thing for me is, I know fans of football in general and Arsenal fans in particular, we laugh at Liverpool for the fact that they've only won the 1 Premier League, and that was obviously during when sort of stadiums were locked down is when they actually lifted it. But if you look at the seasons that they stuck toe to toe with Man City, they went stride for stride, barring maybe one result where they dropped a draw or something like that. They've gone on streaks and runs of 14, 15 wins. They're able to do it, and although they've not been playing to the best of their ability this year, they've just got so many match winners. And it's in the script. If they don't lose to Manchester City, I don't see how they stop. A lot of Arsenal fans are relying on the game at Anfield against Spurs. If you remember what Spurs and the referees done for Liverpool at White Hart Lane or whatever you want to call it, Liverpool are coming out of that as 5-0 winners.
Yeah, I do think if we just look at the fixtures, we have the worst fixtures for sure, hands down. And then you also have to consider the fact that Wolves, they're going to win their game in the FA Cup against, I think it's Coventry. So then that fixture is going to be moved. And for me, Arsenal will only win this league if Fabio Vieira, Zinchenko, Thomas Partey, Jurriën Timber, Tomiyasu, and Gabriel Jesus play a significant amount of the running. Because as good as it is right now in terms of how well this current squad is playing, there's going to be a period in the season where they're not going to be able to sustain that over 3 days, where they're going to have to play again and again and again. Those guys are just as important as the players that we have right now. So I think the squad, in terms of who each team has available, I think will dictate massively as to who wins this league, because the margins are so small. And that's why the goal difference, I think we're going to have goal difference on lock now. You know, the gap that we have, I think, is too big already. And we're going to continue to build on that gap, I think, against Brentford as well. But it's those injured players who have not given us that reliability this season. It's so frustrating because availability is the best ability. They're going to need to be there. And all those players that I've mentioned, you know, in the summer, a lot of those, a fair few of those players, we could argue should be moved on. But they all have specific qualities that are going to help us combat various game states in tough moments going towards the business end of the season. But yeah, I think Liverpool deserve a lot of credit in terms of where they are, you know, what they have done. And, you know, like Wayne says, you know, you think they're going to drop points and drop points. And I have to say, the reaction post losing to us, you know, has been phenomenal. But I just can't see them sustaining this. I know I'm looking at the metrics. I know it's a bit of a dweeb take in terms of just looking at the numbers there, but they're not going to sustain this. I can't see it. I know they've done it before, but there's something about Liverpool that I'm watching them and think it's not right. It's just.
You know, I've got my face in my hands because the more you guys talk about this, and I look at these fixtures on the right hand side, and I think Brentford beat them, get something at the Etihad, come back, beat Luton, beat Brighton away. Brighton are atrocious. Wolves, whether it's later in the season or now, we can take them. And I'm beginning to convince myself it's going to happen. But you know, the fear of heartbreak, guys. Like, we're so good. We're so good at football, and like, but City are so good, and Liverpool have been so good, and like 2 of these 3 teams are going to have such heartbreak come the end of the season. And here's an interesting thing: we talk about Arsenal's fixtures being difficult. If this is correct, I'm not sure if it is, but if it is, Lee, Liverpool's remaining fixtures are Sheffield United, of course, and all 9 of the top 10 teams. Obviously, apart from them, that is a tough run. And I know you look at those 5 fixtures for Arsenal there. City away is obviously the big one. Everyone's looking forward to that. But we've also got Old Trafford away, which, if we just get that mental PTSD out of our system, we should be going to Old Trafford and slapping them.
Yeah, 100%.
Spurs, they're so hit and miss, but it's a North London derby and it's just Spurs. Like, we could do this, lads. We really could. Mindful in the chat saying, great content, guys. You've just earned yourself a new subscriber. 1,554 of you watching live right now. I'm so grateful that you guys have decided to make the time and to tune in. If you're on Twitter, please do follow Latte Firm for content like this. And if you're on YouTube, of course, like Mindful, do subscribe. Lots of content like this to come throughout the rest of the season, and it's just getting spicy. So look, I'm gonna put you on the spot, chaps. Where's it going? There's the graphic courtesy of Sky Sports. Like I say, two of these managers, two of these squads, two of these fan bases are going to be left heartbroken by the end of the season. Wayne, where's it going for you?
Answering today, I think it goes to Manchester City. I can't really look past them. They've got Kevin De Bruyne back. They've got Haaland back. And they always do what Man City does, which is turn it on in March, April, May. However, ask me again on Sunday evening, and if Liverpool have got a point against Man City, I think it's hard to see it go past Liverpool. Yeah,
we need
I
Liverpool
think
to get beat so badly.
we do. We really do. I think, and
so badly, it's not good.
I think for us, I think we're gonna have to. We've got 11 games remaining. If we want to win this title, I think that it's first to 90 points. If you get to 90 points, I don't see more than one team finishing on more than 90 points. If you get to 90 points, you win it. For us to do that, we have to win 10 games basically. And out of 11 left, it's a bit difficult. So I've got Man City first, Arsenal second, and Liverpool third.
Nassif in the chat says Man City first, Arsenal second, Liverpool third. Ro, where's it going? Just before, I know you've got to log off, Ro. You got to
it's okay. I've got a bit. I've got a bit.
Sure?
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, you're enjoying it, aren't you? Yeah. Where are we going, man? Where's the league title going for you, Ro?
No, I'm a believer. I back my boys always. I don't care if getting stick. I back my boys. I think we'll win it. I'm a believer, Faisal. Come on, you know me. I believe.
You're a romantic. I'm a romantic. I'm a hopeless romantic. I am so desperate.
But
to see Arsenal win this title.
What's key, and I know it's such an easy thing to say, but Arsenal aren't going anywhere. If we do not win it this season, we are not going anywhere. This season, it was so important. My objective for Arsenal, and I knew this anyway, I've been a believer of the Arteta project from the get-go. His first interview sold me. It completely sold me. And then I did my research on it, etc., etc. You look at the Smith Rowe inclusion on Boxing Day 2020 and the progression that we've made since then, in terms of Arteta utilising a system that's more favourable, and you've seen what Arsenal have been able to do since that moment, which is a key part of the project. But Arsenal, this season, it was key that they were able to sustain a second title challenge so that the common fan, you, Wayne, myself, we all knew Arsenal were going to compete again. But the common fan doesn't think that, because they'll look at Arsenal, they'll think towards the end of the season, they bottled it in layman's terms from their perspective. So it was vital that we showed to the world that last season was not luck. And we showed that. This is the second season of sustaining a title challenge. And we're not going anywhere. This coach is phenomenal. The squad, the age profiles, where we are at, we can only grow. We can only get better. There's going to be more investment. Mikel Arteta is going to be able to recruit more players that fit his ideas and his philosophy. This Arsenal team's going nowhere, and we will win one league title, at least one league title with Arteta. I'm convinced. There's no way we don't. We're too good not to. And we're going to do it this season.
I'm an emotional wreck, man. Like when Wayne said, "Yeah, it's got to be City," I was like, "Yeah, it's got to be City." I'm comfortable with that. I think that's cool. And then you just bring me back into the game. I'm a believer. It's gonna
What's
happen.
that meme? It's like just when it's that meme, isn't it?
Just when you figure out, they just reel you straight back in. And I was like in my head as you're talking, right, I'm thinking, "Let's fucking go, guys, vamos!" Like, I'm so torn.
Come on, it's happening.
I like my head is saying City because they have the pedigree, they have the experience of peaking at the right time of the season, they have a fit squad, and they've got the experience of juggling Champions League and FA Cup and Premier League, and God forbid they go and do a treble back to back. Liverpool, I really want to think that they're going to slip up because it's not sustainable. That whole Jesse Pinkman, he can't keep getting away with this. Like, Klopp cannot keep fucking getting away with it. It's just, they're so irritating. And like the Europa League, and they've got to go to Old Trafford in the FA Cup, maybe, just maybe. And with us, like, I know the Champions League is there, and it's been a long time since we've had to juggle these two things, but we've got the bit between our teeth, boys. we've had such a great start to 2024, and I just wonder if we peaked just too soon. Like, I don't know, mate. I'm so nervous. Salim Guna says, "You got me nervous, lads. I'm literally sweating. It's Friday night on the 8th of March, and he's watching Latte Firm, Late Night Latte, and he's sweating. Oh, it's just ridiculous." KSSMYW, my good man, says, and that's why we love Rohan. Oh, man, it's crazy. Right. There is the title chase talk. Let's bring the show to a close by focusing on a couple of viewers' questions. As we normally do, part of a new feature in these sort of pre-match preview shows, we ask people to ask questions. And Wayne, I have not disappointed. He's pretty thinking, what the fuck is McTominay, MC Tominay, doing?
Why ruin a good show?
Screen?
Why
Listen, this is a great question. This is a great question from a very, very loyal viewer of the channel. He is Adam, and his Twitter handle is @Adam_Tufts08. And he says, "Hey, F Carnage," who is me, would love to hear your and your esteemed panel's thoughts. He's complimenting you two as well, on if any players who might be leaving Manchester United would be a good option for a sly move for Arsenal. This, of course, coming on the back of, the new ownership, the new stadium plans. United apparently going to have a clear out this summer. Let me elaborate further on Adam's question, rather. Is there anyone at United that you guys would take? Let's start with you, Wayne, straight off the bat.
Is there anyone at United I would take? Well, I'd take Kobe Mainoo because I think he's a quality young player, and I think that Mikel Arteta could mold him into something fantastic. But I don't think that if they're going to rebuild Old Trafford, I think they'll be keeping Mainoo to build brick by brick with them. Apart from that, I think I'd take Dalot because I think he's pretty decent on the ball.
Dalot?
But he's better than Cedric. He's better than.
Have you ever heard of Benjamin White? Dalot?
No, I didn't say to start. I did not say to start, but he's an upgrade on Cedric.
Okay.
And he's more reliable than Tomiyasu. But that's maybe stretching it. If Rashford takes about a 50% pay cut, I'd take him. But that's just more because I love him as a person and not as a player. But no, apart from that, I don't think so.
A couple of shouts here for Lisandro Martinez. Ro, same question to you. Would you take the wee Argentinian man?
I was a massive advocate of Martinez at the time. I think in terms of, we got Zinchenko, and I think Martinez was our first choice, and I think the Ornstein report showed that, and I think he would have been a really good addition. But with the signing of Jurriën Timber and the versatility he provides, I think that makes signing Lisandro Martinez redundant. I really like Højlund. I think he's got a really good skill set. I think the game is starting to move towards that channel running number 9, that in behind threat, that kind of big physical presence. So if I was to pick one player, it would definitely not be McMayo on your screen.
Who? You mean McSauce? Obs. I mean, V Vlad has just stolen it. What a player. What McTominay, I'm telling you, is the best player at Manchester United, bar none. He is criminally underrated, and he's such a good player.
I'd take Bruno Fernandes because Odegaard needs a boot cleaner.
Fair enough. Well, listen, Adam, thank you very much for the question. Do go and follow Adam_Tufts08. But yeah, I don't think there's anyone that if I'm being absolutely sincere, I'm not taking anyone from United. I mean, Kobe Mainoo, maybe, but does he start? Probably not. Squad player, young, I guess, but there's not one person in that team, in that squad, that I think, wow, gotta nab him. And I used to like Rashford, and obviously I'm fond of MC Tominay. McTominay, as my nephew calls him. He's 8. Right, and the last question, this is from Yembele, who says to the panel, what are the panel's priorities for the summer window? Is it just a striker? And I thought, shall I get an Arsenal edit of Osimhen on screen? I thought, now, you know what? Let's go with Josh. Be excited. So, Rohan, your transfer priorities for the summer. What would you like to see the Arsenal do?
I think we massively need a central centre-back to cover William Saliba. I think Tomiyasu is probably the first change now. I think that's a massive hole in this team. I think the versatility Gabriel's providing in terms of playing central centre-back, but I think against high-pressing teams, the angles aren't as favourable to a Gabriel that it is for a right-footed like Saliba, who does really well to kind of bait and feint and evade that pressure. Tomiyasu is he performs so well for Japan on international duty playing at centre-back. But again, you're talking about the reliability of a Tomiyasu. Could you, with the sample size that we have available, when Tomiyasu is available, he offers you so much quality, but he's not available enough. So I think a Saliba backup is massively important. I do like the look of Diomande. I'm not seeing loads of him, but if you cast your eyes back to that Sporting 2 legs last season, he was outstanding. So he would be someone I'd want. We need a centre midfielder, especially with the Thomas Partey situation. I really like Amadou Onana from Everton. I think that'd be a really good coup. Someone who would allow us to maintain the press. That has been, for me, the big winner for Arsenal throughout the season, throughout the last 2 seasons in terms of our press. One of our biggest chance creation mechanisms is through our counter press, winning the ball back high. Think of Declan Rice against Newcastle, the amount of times he hunted it down, and we're able to convert that to a good opportunity. And then we do need to.
You wouldn't go Zubimendi?
A
couple of shouts for Zubimendi.
I think extending Jorginho's contract for an additional year makes that a little bit more redundant, especially with an Ødegaard who has that deeper responsibility as well. So I would park the Zubimendi talk. I'd park that type of profile. I think we need that kind of PNP, pace and power type of midfielder and I love that kind of midfielder in general. You know, it's nothing better than just seeing like a big monster there. It just hits differently. And I think Onana would be a really good acquisition there. And then we need 2 forwards. You know, I think we need a striker and a winger. You know, a winger who can play on both sides. I think Pedro Neto and Nico Williams are the 2 that are linked quite heavily. I'd like either of those options. And the centre forward, I think I've always wanted Osimhen at Arsenal for a number of years, but I don't know if the financials to it will work. I don't think we will look to spend that much on him. So I could see us going for a project type of signing. But what is exciting for me is the fact that if you look at the centre forwards that Arsenal are targeting, it's all the same type of profile. It's that channel running number 9, that guy who's going to be able to run in behind, stretch with his pace, box presence, etc. Benjamin Sesko is the one that's been mentioned. He does miss a lot of chances. He's quite raw, but he's got a lot of quality, and I would be on board with that kind of signing.
You've named quite a few players, Ro. So if I had to push you for just like,
we're not going to be able to get all of these.
Of course, I know, of course. But I guess I want to get your thoughts on which 2 are you saying would make you feel very happy if we got 2 over the line in the summer?
I think I'd like a Diomande and I'd like a Nico Williams.
Diamande's a good player.
Yeah.
Wayne, same question to you from Yembele, who is, of course, at Verge59. If anybody's on X, and when I say anybody's on X, there's over 1,300 of you watching live on X right now. Please do throw some abuse at Yem and follow Latte Firm. Wayne, what's your answer to the question?
It's not just a striker. I think for me, we need a minimum of 5 signings in the summer. They don't all need to be starting quality. But if you think back to last summer, we signed 4: Timber, Raya, Havertz, and Declan Rice as main sort of first team players. I think this summer, the first priority for me, before we even think about a striker, is if you're selling Aaron Ramsdale, you need a backup goalkeeper, because right now we are just going to be left with a massive hole there. Even if it's someone on the experience side of things, and they're never going to really play a minute, and they're just kind of there as a reliable person in training. Even if David Raya is going to play 50 games, I think we need a backup goalkeeper next year. I agree with Rohan that we need a defender, whether it's a central centre-back or somebody who can play as a right-back, which allows Ben White to then play at centre-back if we need to rest Saliba, or if we need to cover his injury or suspension or something like that. We do need a versatile defender, someone that can play at centre-back and right-back. Centre-forward is obviously one of them. I'm not for the money involved, I'm not a huge fan of Victor Osimhen coming in. I think we could do better value. He might be the best name and sort of the biggest price out there at the moment, but I'm not sure he comes into the Premier League and bangs straight away. And I'm concerned about his injury record as well. There was some questions when we were signing Ødegaard, for example. It was Ødegaard or Maddison, and a load of people, and you had this chat on your channel, FK. Maddison's injury issues. If you look at the injury issues of Victor Osimhen, I think coming to Arsenal, that could be a recipe for disaster with how intense the Premier League is. I think we must get a winger. We have to get a winger. Pedro Neto was my favourite, but his injury list as well has really put me off. So Nico Williams or someone like that. We need someone with genuine electric pace that can just run and run and run, because you've kind of got that with Reece Nelson, but he doesn't bring the additional quality that you need sort of in the final third or end product. And we need to be able to, like earlier on in the season, Saka wasn't playing well, Martinelli wasn't playing well. Both of them weren't playing well at the same time. You need someone that can come in with quality and scare defenders. So we need a winger, centre forward, backup goalkeeper, a defender, and we need at least one midfielder. Whether it's a 6 or an 8, I don't mind. But with the Thomas Partey situation, for me, he leaves in the summer and it's the right time to say goodbye. Keep Jorginho for another year. But we need someone who can play as a natural number 8. Right now, we've got 3 guys that are defensive-minded midfielders in Rice, Jorginho, and Partey. And then we've got 4 10s in Havertz, Odegaard, Emil Smith-Rowe, and Vieira. We don't have a natural midfielder, someone that can go box to box, someone that's physical. So, yeah, I think we need a minimum of 5 signings in the summer.
Wally's asked, would you take De Gea as backup? Still a free agent. And I think this answer says it all. Rory 95 says De Gea is one of the worst goalkeepers my eyes have ever suffered watching. I think that answers that. Listen, I think obviously a reserve goalkeeper is going to be up there because Ramsdale will go. I think for me, I am desperately craving a wide player, someone with electric pace who loves to dribble and is aggressive in the dribble, loves 1v1s and just annihilating fullbacks. I think we need that both for depth and for cover and to give Saka and Martinelli a rest before their legs fall off. I'm comfortable defensively because I think Jurriën Timber's injury was a freak one, and I like to think that that's not going to happen again. And if he's back in the mix and we can manage Zinchenko and Tomiyasu better, and we've seen a lot from Jakub Kiwior, Ben White, signed Cedric up to an extra 12 months. No, I'm joking. There's no Cedric Suarez talk here. Maybe someone like Rule Walters comes through and bees that sort of cover. I'd like to see us spend our money on a midfield boss man. I always wanted Thomas Partey to play alongside Declan Rice. And even though Partey came out for that stroll against Sheffield United, I don't think we're going to see the best of him. He doesn't look anywhere near fit and sharp. Let's move him on, and then he will also be moved on. And Jorginho, trigger the year's extension, that's fine. But if we can bring in a dynamic powerhouse, whether it is someone like Amadou Onana, like Rohan says, or somebody else maybe under the radar, but someone who can come in, hit the ground running, play alongside big deckers, is reliable, makes up that 3 with Odegaard. I think Havertz can do the job up top. I think Jesus, again, we sort of manage him. If we have to move him on and maybe bring someone else in, that's fine. But, the wide man with rapid electric pace and that direct sort of aggressiveness in running, and a central midfielder, someone who is just a total powerhouse that can elevate our game just like Declan Rice did. Those would be the big ones for me. I think we're going to leave it there. We've been going for over an hour. And I know, Rohan, you've got an early start tomorrow. Wayne, it's Arsenal Brentford tomorrow, obviously at the Emirates, 5:30 kickoff. You'll be there with your prawn sandwiches in club level. Do give us a wave, wave down to us peasants. What can I say? I mean, look, there's 1,817 of you watching live right now, which is an absolute record, I think, for a live stream on Latte Firm on a Friday night. If you are on Twitter, please do follow Latte Firm. If you like this sort of content, we will have a post-match phone-in after the game tomorrow. We'll have a quick reaction video on the YouTube channel. And we'll be back on Sunday, of course, with a late-night latte, looking back at the weekend and reviewing what happens at Anfield. If anybody wants to follow Rohan, he's available at RJ Arsenal blog. Writes about Arsenal, is on the Different Knock with Alexander, doing his thing. And just get involved with Ro. Great mind. Appreciate you coming on, Rohan. Thank you very much for your time. If anybody wants to follow Wayne, he's available at Wayne's World 20_ Wayne. Hopefully, if you're back in time tomorrow night on a reasonable hour, we will do the post-match phone-in before match of the day in the UK. And let's see what Sunday brings. And of course, there's my personal Twitter handle as well, in case you want to get involved with me. We're going to leave it there. All that's left to say for me is have yourselves a wonderful weekend. Stay warm. We're just a few weeks away now from 7 p.m. sunsets and warmer days and longer days. I can't wait for that. Those of you coming to the Emirates tomorrow, leave the flags alone, wave them, but don't take them home, please, because it's a nice gesture from the club. And enjoy the game. Enjoy the weekend. The Barclays is about to peak. That's all I can say. I'm very, very excited about it. Until next time, bye-bye for now.